Hey everybody, it's Jay from Biggest Loser Season 11 here once again with my coach Andrea.
Hey,
And,
everybody.
and we are going to review this week's episode of Biggest Loser, week 6 and 7. And so, Andrea, you want to hop right in and, kind of get started with what you had taken away from the show?
Ooh, that's a lot of stuff to talk about. No, definitely. So some of the most interesting things, let's start right from the beginning. The auction, really interesting experience to see, the way that people were at first hesitant about how much money they were going to spend on stuff and what was it worth. And then all of a sudden it was like $500, just give it all. And you see Toy getting that 1 pound advantage, which was awesome. I loved how Steven went flying in the water after he got his family a vacation, and Colby going all out for it. And the guy who says, I know auctions,
Yeah.
said, there's no rules with this one. This is the Biggest Loser, and getting immunity. And so the two really big prizes, that immunity and the 1 pound, I think had a really big impact on this week's episode and how that all went down. Along, of course, with the spa days and the Erin getting to spend a night with her boyfriend. So those are some really interesting things that happened in the beginning of this episode, and I think we should dive into that a little bit.
Yeah. The one that I think was the luckiest of all was Jackie, when she got a chance to go to Bob's house and work out with Bob. And I mean, he's great. He's really a genuine person in terms of what he can help you with. And so it was great for her to have that chance to really work out with him, but have him kind of dissect, what was kind of underneath all of what was going on for her. And the fact that, she lost her dad and, which was her coach. And the big part with that is, being a parent, and she expressed that as well. She realized the impact on her health. But then really important is, what was that doing with her and her daughter and the way her daughter saw her. So I think that was a great breakthrough and a great example for anybody that's a parent that realizes that, it's important for your health, but I mean, you have such a ripple effect of what happens in other people's lives. So that was a great insight. I love that.
I thought that was very impactful to watch that. You're right. The best present that they could have gotten, or auction gift, was that one-on-one with Bob, because it's just all the focus of everybody else is gone. It's just about you and really getting that chance, and Bob being so genuine and really getting the chance to talk with her. I thought it was very interesting. I've experienced the loss of a parent, and I lost my mother, and but not being a parent myself, it's the impact of it really it results in many different ways with different people. For me personally, it was about how could I carry on my mother's legacy. For her, she felt such a loss. And my sister actually felt the same thing when my mom passed. She was at such a loss that it really impacted her life in an emotional way that took a long time to recover from. And Jackie's now at that point where she's like seeing, I could carry my father's legacy forward with my children, because it's not something that I lost. I still have everything in him to give to my kids and really show them, who he was and who I am.
And I think, it's interesting because I think if you look at we're now into season 17. If you look at every single season, if I had to say there's one common link that any of us that have been challenged with our wellness, they say that your most important relationship is your relationship with your parents, whether they're alive, they're gone, or whatever. And if you don't really resolve that, it's something that will keep reoccurring. And I think that, what Bob opened up with Jackie, and then we'll talk about it in a few minutes, is some of the other conversations that were going on where, people were expressing, what was going on in their life from their family perspective. It is one of those, I would tell you that probably if people really make a change in their life, if they're willing to really look at that and see how they relate with their family, you can't go back and change what went on, but a lot of times that truly is the weight of our past that comes into every single day. And as you know, in our earlier coaching call today, I was expressing some of the challenges that I've had. I have a great relationship with my mom and dad, but there's things that come up that still to this day are issues, and they are things that, can set off triggers and things for me. So I try to let people know that if you're really having some big problems in your life with your health, your wellness, your willingness to really take care of yourself, you might want to look under the hood and see, do you have some unresolved issues and things that you want to really pay attention to in the world of your family too. So it just seems coming up.
And the one thing that is very important, as you brought up what we discussed earlier today, is the fact that you recognize that it's 58 plus years of conditioning. I mean, your parents are your first heroes in your life. And then, things change and other people have influence on you, but your parents really are the ones that have the most influence, their behaviors, their actions, their words, and everything that's there. And for you, the tremendous changes that you have made in the way that you don't retreat from certain emotional uproars in your life.
Although I do try, I do try to retreat at times, and you also catch me from retreating, because you're right. That is what happens, is that you get something that really sets you off, and a lot of people will retreat and hide under a rock. But that's a tough one.
Yeah, and that's the process that you're going through, and people could take that experience, and hopefully Jackie could use this going forward, is that she could use it as a strength for herself. Mm-hmm. And, it's always toughest. When it's always toughest, we always want to do what's easiest. And this was a big point in our conversation today, is that when it is the toughest, to stick through the work that you've been doing, and just instead of saying, let me just get through this and do it the way I know how, and I'll wait for next time never comes. So this is what's great about the show and this episode, is that Jackie has that support from her husband, from Bob, from everybody else. And now it's a matter of, can she continue to use this going forward to help herself and really use it as a strength as opposed to feeling it as a weakness. And I think that there's something about Jackie that makes me truly believe that she does know how.
Yeah, definitely. So we got down to you had the last chance workout, and it is what it is in terms of, what happened overall. But the weigh-in came along, and I think that the exciting thing that Toy won was the idea of the growing pound. Each week, you get this pound that would go forward. And, as it turned out, Jen felt really upset because, Toy really could have used that pound, but they both decided to hang on to it for in the future. And, it really came up short for her. But, I think probably for myself, I might've done the same exact thing as well. I might've done something where I had, also hung on to that pound as well. But, that was tough to watch.
Yeah, and the thing about what I love about Jen is that the way she believes in everybody, and she helps them believe in themselves. Even still, like, Toy really put so much effort into everything and really saw some inner strength in herself through all of that. And yes, the pound didn't work for her, and they might have made the mistake, but either way, I mean, if you looked at the end of the episode when Toy went home, I mean, she was able to continue on, and she looks fantastic, for being able to continue on by herself. And as much as Jen has that weight on her shoulders of feeling like, I screwed up for you, this is my fault, and taking responsibility for it. I mean, that's tough. As a trainer, you're there to make decisions to help your client and help the contestants. And so I could really understand that emotional part for Jen and feeling like she, quote unquote, failed Toy. But it's a game. That's the whole thing. If you believe in yourself, you work hard. Because 1 pound she missed it. That's the hardest. Most I think she lost in one weigh-in anyway. So she really did work very hard. Definitely.
So that Toy goes home. That brings us up to week 7. And we open up for week 7 where they're at the beach, and there's a yacht out in the distance, and they have a competition, where they're having to pull in buoys and bring them in, and then get on a raft and be able to get everybody out to the boat first, and the whole prize behind that is the idea of getting letters. And I think I mentioned earlier that, I always kind of thought sometimes when I'd see the show, it was silly with the letters. But they're heartbreakers. They make you feel incredible. And I think that the greatest takeaway for that is I think we all do kind of as family members at times, we don't really realize the power of really having a communication, sending letters to people and communicating. And you get that when you're on the show, because it's like you'll do anything to have a conversation with somebody because you don't for weeks on end. So that, what did you think about that particular challenge?
So this is the complete opposite of what we saw a couple of weeks ago, where the contestants had communication with their loved ones, and the influence of that emotion brought them down. The influence of the emotion of being able to see and have that communication and read those letters had such a tremendous, like, motivating impact on everybody here, that even when they got off the boat and they went back into the gym, I mean, they were on fire afterwards.
Yeah.
And so this is a great contradiction of things that you and I have talked about, of how certain stress influencers, such as that emotional stress, can work for you and sometimes work against you. It just really depends on the situation and how you want to use it for yourself. And so I thought it was really interesting to show the same exact kind of impact that emotion has. So I really loved the way that it really fired everybody up to keep going and really got them motivated.
Definitely. The other one which was incredible, we were talking about it earlier, was when everybody had the big sit down with Bob, Lauren and Vicky and Colby. And one of the things that was brought up was that the fact that how many people were having issues still from relationships. It could have been parents. It could have been, a father. It could have been, it's, I think that's one of the things that many times people really forget. You have your own wellness journey that you have to live and breathe, but the environment, as you say all the time, the stressors, the things that the family relationships that work, that don't work, the holiday, like all of that. If I had to say there was one common link that always seems to come up, and Bob really got under the skin of a lot of people and got people to open up. There's a lot of things that are unsaid and that they keep coming up in people's lives. And I think that, Bob's opening that up with people was very powerful, and I think gave a lot of people insights. Now, the tough part is that's just one little piece of the puzzle. As you and I've gone through this before, we may have a discussion about something like this, and you think you got it all cleared up, and it's like, oh, I got it, everything's fine, and then it's not fine. So it's definitely like a muscle. The whole relationship world and your family and your husbands and wives and kids, that's just an ongoing thing that I think it really needs to be looked at and on a continual basis, because it just seems to be a reoccurring thing for most people.
And what I love about that is that the way Bob said is, why are you here? Mm-hmm. And the couple of people that really opened up, you had Felicia and you had Lauren, and I'll talk about Felicia very first. Many people can relate to when they're in a situation of divorced parents and one parent gets remarried and they choose the spouse over the child. And as a child, a teenager, her formative years, she's feeling like, I'm not worthy of love. Nobody cares about me. Why should I even be here? She chooses him who's abusive towards me. And this is such a common theme. There's that emotional abuse that happens to so many people that stems from who your first hero is. And that is one of the toughest things to overcome, and really truly believe in yourself, and that you are worthy of love, and that you deserve to have everything the way you want it to be in life. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. And as much as Felicia tried to prove herself, she ended up leaving that environment. And here her mom comes years later, and to apologize to her, you could apologize, but that's such a hard thing. You gave me up for someone else. And I can really understand like a lot of Felicia's behavior coming into this episode. And I said last week, she's the person that people may have been tweeting at her and saying some terrible things, but she needs the most help and really being boosted up and believing in herself. And I think that this was great. And then if we move on to Lauren, oh my God. I mean, to just say, I don't want to talk about him, like referring to the father of her child. Yeah. Again, decisions we make and that weighs us down. I mean, you tell me your thoughts on Lauren, and then, I'll follow up on how that can impact people.
Yeah, I think that the thing that she realized that, as she said, my son wants a dad, and, why does my dad want a son? I mean, those things get apparent in the gut, and I think that, I've not had that happen. Kim and I have been married now for like 36 years, and we've been together for like 40. And so, we didn't have that same issue, but there have definitely been times where, your child will say something to you and it just guts you, you know, something that you got mad or angry or whatever. And I think that as a parent, you know, I've seen how powerful the way you are with your child can make a big difference, and how destructive it can be with your child depending on what you say. So I think that if there was ever a place to really, for all of us as parents, the earlier we get this, to realize that what we say and what we do, man, it has such a long lasting effect. Yeah, you can kind of repair it, but it's it's like getting kicked or slapped or whatever. It doesn't go away. That impact's there. So words are, yeah, you could get hit, but something about words or the way that your parent describes you and what you can do or what you can't do. If you really get under the hood of many people, you find that is something that just is very tough for lots of people, and they don't let go of.
Oh, no doubt. I will never disagree with that. I mean, you're talking to someone who had a grandmother say it right to her face. I hate you and only tell people I love you because you're my blood and I have to.
Wow.
So, I understand the impact of words, but the love from my parents and from my paternal grandmother was so much more that I was lucky enough to not have that impact me. But you know what? When hearing that at 13 years old, here I am 40, and those words, I still remember standing in the bathroom in that doorway of listening to her say that to me.
Yeah.
And always being told, you have to prove yourself that she should love you. You have to do this. It's your fault. I'm a child. How is it my fault? And so the other side of that for Lauren, as you see, is like, all these choices that she made, and she doesn't have an answer for her son. She takes that on herself.
Yeah.
He feels it's her fault. She made these decisions. She even said, like, I wish I can get out of my own skin. And the self-love that she's missing, that self-worth, that worth fighting for, I am worth it. And so instead of hiding behind, hiding is a terrible word to use, instead of using her son to fill this void, what she hopefully will get to is filling the void for herself, filling herself with love, allowing herself to love herself and put herself first, and use that as the motivator and as being the role model for her son, that by loving yourself, you can give so much to so many other people, and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. I think there's still time for Lauren. I think, she's still going to come shining through. And once she allows herself to be vulnerable, and we've talked about that vulnerability thing, it's going to be so powerful for her. And I think that it's going to take some time for her, but she will get there.
Yeah, when Lauren talked about that, wanting to get out of her skin, I mean, I related to that a lot, because when I was much younger, I had such a self-loathing for who I thought I was, that I literally said one time, I even told my father that I wanted to be anyone other than me. I mean, I literally wanted to be anyone other than who I was, because the way that I was living at that time and what was being said to me was that I wasn't doing things right. There was this constant conversation about what was wrong. And it's taken me years to really have a whole different dialogue along that. And it still will come up, as you and I have certain conversations. It's like something that's in the back of my mind at times when I get at my lowest low. You think you're really not good enough. And it's just sometimes very difficult to not let that voice override you. And I think if you allow it to be not hidden in a dark place, but you start to bring it out. And like what you and I do, you have a conversation about it. It starts to take that power away. It's like little by little, you just keep bringing it up. You might be resistant, you might get mad or whatever. But I'm finding that the same way you would exercise a muscle physically, those mental muscles that you can kind of exercise and get out of your head, they don't have the same power. They don't live in those dark places. So yeah, it was a great episode. Lots of revelations, and Bob had said, he told everybody that the demon is the liar. And if you don't believe in yourself, who is ever going to believe in you? And I think Colby summed that one up when he said, "I'm done with the demon." So it was really a therapeutic for everybody. And I think that's a great example. If you can get a group of people together and share what's most secrets, most common, a lot of times you can have a lot of breakthroughs for people. But it's not a one and done. I mean, it's not like it's done and over with. You have to, still have that conversation. So.
Yeah, because as Lauren's mom was like saying to her, you have to. It's that thing of what do you feel you have to do versus want to do. And if Lauren's in that, I have to get over this, it's going to take some time. But you saw at the weigh-in that, she said, I'm willing to accept the more positive things coming my way. And Bob was like, runs over and gives her a hug. And like, that's really impactful. That's so hard for so many people to do. It's like you get a compliment. Wow, you look really nice. Say, oh, thanks. I just, but the first thing you want to do is beat yourself up and
right.
like, no, I don't deserve a compliment.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves a compliment. And the best way to respond to it is just say thank you.
Yeah.
Because everybody is worthy of everything.
Yeah. And it's being gracious to the person that said that to you too. I mean, so definitely. So we got the weigh-in, and as it turned out, Erin didn't quite make it to Wonderland.
She did. She got 1 pound.
That's right. It was 1 pound. That was right.
1 pound, yeah.
And it was great because she got a chance to, to sing her song that she wrote, which the lyrics really they're very timely in terms of what she was experiencing. So that I really enjoyed that. And it was fun to see Vicki make it to Wonderland. And there she was hopping around. It was her 54th birthday. So what a great way to be able to celebrate your birthday.
Absolutely.
And so as it ended up, Team Jen did lose the weigh-in, and Vicki went home. So it's one of those things that each week somebody's going to go. And did you have anything to say about the weigh-in? Anything that I missed along that line?
No, I mean the weigh-in was pretty straightforward. It was just sad to see like Vicki being up there again, being below the line twice, and so that she went home. But as you saw, I mean, she just looks incredible being at home, and so some of the stuff is sticking with her, and the heart that she has and the caring that she has for, as she referred to everybody as her children, that they have long lives ahead of them and they need this so much. It's such a powerful statement, and I think she's a very strong woman.
And, one of the things I wanted to say, too, is that, when you and I started this process of just saying, hey, let's just start to talk about, each week, for me, even selfishly, it's been great and helpful because what I find is even though the weigh-ins and the challenges and all the exercise and stuff that everybody thinks about Biggest Losers being the show because the weigh-ins is a money shot, not, the all excitement. I'm hoping for anybody that's kind of taking a look at what we're doing here is, it's very much like what you and I do together back and forth. It's just being in a conversation about things besides the weight or besides the exercise. It's all that stuff that's not really talked about a lot. So I'm finding, we've been through a few of these videos. What I'm finding is it's just, once again, it's an opening up of a conversation that I think more and more people, if they'll have it, can be very helpful for them in their wellness journey as well. So, that's why if anybody's looking at these and like, well, why don't they describe this? We don't tend to get into all the minutia. It's more like that kind of bigger picture of what's going on. And hopefully, people are taking some of that away that will help them on their wellness journey too.
Yeah, and I think that is a great point. And, for me, most importantly, is that people could see you can do this at home and how you can really weave it into your reality, your life that you're living on a daily basis where you have connections, you are at work, you are with people, and it's possible. It's just the ability to take a look and create the awareness of what's impacting your decisions and how to get more conscious about it and either accept it or move forward with it, and trust in the process that even if it gets harder, when you get through that hard part, it's going to be so much easier and you're going to have such a greater appreciation for all the work that you have done. And it is absolutely possible. And everybody is worthy of love and attention and respect. And it all comes from starting with yourself.
And I just realized most people who are watching this kind of know where they can get a hold of me. I'm not exactly, hidden away. But, if people want to kind of pay attention to what you're doing, what's your website address for them to know about?
Oh, well, thanks. My website is simply my name, which is AndreaKao.com. So it's AndreaKao.com. biggestloser.com.
Great. Okay, so that is what Andrea and I have for this week of Biggest Loser. And we'll be back talking to you about next week. Have a great day, you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.